Hey Jeff, how's it going?
Hey, good. Ah, nice weather today. Mm.
Yeah, it looks good. I was like, you're not in the car today, like usual.
Yeah, I forgot what is that? The phone holder. So I'm gonna hold my phone with my hand. So it's gonna be the same. So why not just stay outside?
Yeah, that's fair. Are you planning to do like a makeshift phone holder or just like purchase one from like a website or from a store?
No, I got one already. I got from Temu, the Temu store.
Yeah.
It's pretty cheap. But right now, every item they add $3.
Why is that? Is it like was it a bait and switch kind of a thing or what happened?
Because Trump,
How the
yeah,
imports?
right, the imports they don't have that kind of tariff free policy already, so they charge.
Yeah.
I invited Mary, so I don't know if she's gonna join.
Oh yeah, hope she can make it.
Don't know. Yeah, I don't get straight answer from her.
Yeah, I don't know how many clubs she's a part of now. She was area director last term, and uh, like she was an area director for another club that I was a part of, but I hadn't.
Oh,
Mary, good to
Mary.
see you.
Oh, we were just talking about you. Hey, so you joined.
How have things been?
I guess my ears were ringing. What's my
How?
role today?
Let's see. We are still missing. Let me double check. I think we might be missing a table topics master. If you'd be open to that, let me give
Sure.
you the theme.
What is the theme?
Let me see. The theme is embracing change with the word of the day transition.
Great.
Let me note it down so that in case anyone's preparing table topics, they don't need to worry.
I need to turn the radio down just a minute.
Oh, sure thing.
I'm just gonna be the table topic participant today.
Okay, sounds good, Jeff.
That's it.
Just to verify, uh, embracing change is the theme and transform is the word of the day.
Transition is the word of
Transition. Thank
yes.
you.
Well, thank you.
Beethoven was overwhelming you. I couldn't hear you.
Beethoven.
Hey, Benson. Hey, Sib.
Hey, Sip, Benson.
Hello.
Missing an evaluator too, Jeff, if you're interested in filling for that. Or would you, table topics? Just, okay. I can try to do both evaluations.
I don't have pen and paper.
Oh, that's a good point.
I always screw up the evaluation because I don't really.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll need to take notes. Like for me, if I don't have anything to write with, I can't remember everything.
Yeah.
Or I can double duty for you, Vincent. Let's see who else comes.
Yeah, definitely. Well, yeah, it'd be nice to hear your one of your evaluations again, Mary. I suspect that we will have our Toastmaster of the day. And it looks like we have a guest here, Michael. Welcome, Michael.
Hello, hello. How are you doing?
Good. How about you?
Oh,
Good.
Is this your first time at Toastmasters?
It is. In fact, I've just discovered it's not really the best time to do this, and I see there's an 8 o'clock one today.
Oh,
But
there's.
go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, we have a few different ones. So we have one on Sunday or the last Sunday of the month. And then we also have the regular one is weekly on Tuesday for lunchtime.
Right. Okay. Well, I'm gonna hang out here and see how this is going, and yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. Welcome.
welcome.
Thank you,
Hello,
Jeff.
everyone.
Sure.
Joanne, we're just figuring out the roles for today. So we have Benson, Sib as the speakers. We're double checking to see if we can assign the Marion and Timer roles. I think I could take on Timer, and then I believe Mary mentioned she could be one of the evaluators.
Okay, and who took on the table topics? Was that also Mary?
Yeah, that was also Mary.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. And Marian and Timer we don't have currently.
Yeah, so I can fill in as the Timer, Joanne.
Who's the timer?
I'm the
Oh,
Timer,
you.
Benson. Yeah.
Okay. And the Marian, could Jeff, do you want to be the Marian?
Sure, I can pretend I'm counting, but
Jeff doesn't have a piece of paper, which is why it's like harder for him to keep accurate track.
Oh, do we have a GE?
We don't have a GE for today.
Okay, Jeff, could you be the GE?
sure. Be the
Great.
G, the runaway GE.
And we still need an Marian, so I think I can take that. Actually, I will double up. Maybe that Marian.
Yeah, sounds good. And Sib, you can hear us now? Everything's good? Okay.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
good.
Okay, good. Vincent, you are very
Loud?
not loud.
Okay,
Very soft. Your sound is very soft.
let me
Compared
switch it up.
to other people I've heard so far.
That's because he's
Alright.
a gentle soul.
Okay, we can get started. For today, in honor of daylight savings, our word of the day is transition. The process of changing from one state or condition to another. And the theme of the day is embracing change. I encourage everyone to curate our speeches surrounding embracing change, whether positive change, whether negative change, but we should be embracing change today. All right, let's get started with the first speaker. I believe that's Benson.
Wow.
So Benson, do you have a speech topic for today?
Yes, the topic of my speech today is the cemetery in Shanghai.
The cemetery in Shanghai. And
Yes,
what time limit would you like?
5 to 7 minutes speech.
All right, awesome, Benson. So kick us off with the cemetery in Shanghai.
Okay, thank you, Toastmaster, and good morning, good afternoon, Toastmasters. Yeah, today's theme is embracing changes. And in my dictionary, the only thing not change is the change itself. So I think this is a really good theme we have today. And we are transitioning from every stage to another stage. Today I'm talking about a story about cemetery in Shanghai. When I was 14, my grandfather passed away. So my father bought a burial plot on the outskirts of Shanghai. Cemeteries around the city only allow urns, no full body burials. I suppose that's what happens when you live in a crowded city. Even the dead ones have to save their space. So back then, the rule was that you could only buy a plot for someone who had already passed away. If you want to buy one in advance, you had to be at least 80 years old. So every Qingming festival, we went to the tomb and sweeping the tombs as others do. It's a traditional. The Qingming festival is around, it's in spring time. It's like May, in the May, April or May. It's, yeah, no, it's not a fixed day, but they know it's the Qingming festival. Everybody go there and do the things. So when Qingming festival came around, we went to sweep my grandfather's tomb, and I noticed that his plot was much larger than ones nearby. So curiously, I asked my father why. He said it's a three-generation plot. Oh, I said, so my great-grandfather and great-great-grandfather are buried here too? He shook his head and replied, no, only your grandfather. The other two are for me and for you. That was the day I learned that at just 14, I already owned my very own grave. My father was clearly a man with foresight. The value of that piece of land has probably gone up dozens of times since. So during Qingming, people burn paper money for their ancestors. After I found out I had my own future address there, I started to burning some for myself too. You could say I was investing early, like long-term planning as its finest. My bank account may not have much, but over there, I'm a millionaire. People also burn paper house, paper cars, even paper yachts, so their loved ones can live comfortably in the afterlife. Naturally, I've made sure to send myself a few villas and luxury rides over there. Ever since then, when I was young, I felt a quite kind of confidence because most people don't know what awaits them after death. But me, I do. I'll be rich, very, very rich. That was the story of my teen home. So when I was teen, I had that. But things change. I hate but there's always a but. 3 months ago, my dad passed away. So I fly back to Shanghai, China, and I have no idea where the paperwork of that the plot, where the location, because I want to put my dad's um, ash the urns to the plot. Eventually, I figured that the company who run that tomb is out of business. They they didn't follow the country's rule to operation, So all the spot has been wiped off, and they have another building and move everybody's leftover into that building. It's a temporary storage at the temporary storage. It can keep that thing for 10 years. Yeah. So now I kind of feel like bankrupt, right? Because I have sent all the monies and then the yachts and the houses to that address, and that address disappeared. And the only option I have is I store my my dad's ash, the bone ash, into that building and sign a contract to keep that thing for 10 years. Meanwhile, I have to look around, see if I can find some plot eventually to have their box to bury into those spots. So the things tell me that things are changing. There's nothing certain. 30 years ago, I have my own place, the very own grave. Now I lost it. What should I do? But things keep changing, right? So like today's scene in this meeting, we're embracing the change. So I'll move on. I'm also thinking to sign something like the different ceremony of where you put your stuff after your life. There's a program in Shanghai called Bury in the Ocean. So something like you just get on a ship and your sons or daughters get on the ship and throw those ash into the ocean. I think that's not bad either. We know afterlife everything's gone, so can just be environment friendly, maybe. I don't know. I'm not a psychologist, but here's a story I want to share. Hopefully enjoy it. Back to Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Benson, for the very informative and heartwarming speech. And my condolences again about your dad's passing. We will have 1 minute evaluation, so everyone can send their evaluations to Benson and also fill out the evaluation form. So please time us for 1 minute.
And for the guests, feel free to send a private message directly to Benson. Anything that you liked, anything that you felt that could be enhanced. In Toastmasters, we love feedback, so anything that we could do to improve our speeches or know what worked well is helpful to us. I'll be starting the timer now. All right, 1 minute is up.
Thank you, Vincent. For the next portion of our meeting, we will have the second speaker, Sib. Sib will be giving us an impromptu speech. And the prompt, Sib, would be tell us about a time when change turned out to be the best thing that happened to you. Tell us about a time when change turned out to be the best thing that happened to you. And Sib, how long would you like the speech to be?
Between 4 and 6 minutes, please.
Awesome. Feel free to take it away.
Thank you, Mrs. Toastmaster. Fellow Toastmasters, there is one change in my life which I fully embraced and turned out to be the best thing that happened to me and that I still cherish. When I was 19 years old, I decided to move to South Africa. At the time I was living in France, in Paris. I had grown up in the countryside and I had had difficulty adapting to life in the city, which felt very anonymous and lonely. I also had issues with my family shortly before moving to Paris. And my years in Paris were years of fighting depression and lots of stress to try and achieve what I wanted to achieve, and the circumstances that were non-ideal. The bright light in my life at the time was that I fell in love with a South African. And the feeling was not quite mutual. He thought of me as being in France. So at some point, I decided to visit South Africa for 3 weeks. And I decided after that trip that I was going to move there. So I saved money for a couple of months during the summer holidays. And I bought a plane ticket and I moved to South Africa. And at that point, for me, it was not mainly to join my boyfriend. It was to make a radical change in my life. Because I felt if I stayed in France, I would just wallow in depression for the rest of my life. I needed a big kick and I needed to be in a society full of hope, which South Africa was at the time. I moved there in 1990. And I had to push back a lot on friends and family, all family and most friends, who thought I was crazy, I was taking a ridiculous risk, what was going to happen to me? And to me, the risk was to stay in France in a situation that I could not see get any better. And life was economically hard for me in South Africa, just as it had been in France. But it was so full of hope. In a society hopeful about its future, struggling with friends that I made who were also struggling economically and young and full of hope for the future. And I was very shy most of my life until then. And that forced me not to be. I moved to a country where I hardly spoke the language. And it was a matter of survival for me to make deep friendships with people. And that decision was something I always felt very proud of, to have had the courage to do it. And it turned out to turn me into someone I liked much better than the person had been before. It gave me courage and it made me form new friendships, some of which have stood the test of time. I did not end up staying with my boyfriend, but I became really close to his family. His sister and I, we still call each other sis. And we went through a lot together. We basically, years later, had to watch him die together. And although that decision was the best I ever made for myself, that does not mean that I find it easy embracing change. I found it easy embracing that change because it was a change that I decided upon. And that felt like an expression of myself, of what I wanted most deeply. But when change is imposed upon me, I really struggle to embrace it. And I've come to the conclusion that the best I can do, at least I believe, is to think as positively as I can about it, to look for the good in the change, but also to allow myself to mourn the negative, which prior to moving to South Africa, I never did. I basically powered through and tried to block the losses that I had felt. And I think that was a mistake in change that is imposed upon you. I think you also need to mourn the losses. And that's all I have for now. Thank you very much.
Thank
Fellow
you so much.
Toastmasters, back to you.
Thank you so much, Sib.
Toastmaster.
That was a very wonderful speech. I really liked your insights there at the end, very powerful. So in this portion of the meeting, we're going to take another minute to give Sib feedback through the form or just through direct message.
All right, starting the timer now. All right, 1 minute is up.
Thank you, Vincent. The next portion of the meeting is going to be table topics led by Mary. And I believe we all know how table topics work, so no need to explain there. So over to you, Mary.
Thank you very much, Joanne. As we think about embracing change, I am going to start by calling on people we haven't heard from yet. Jeff, would you describe a time in your life where you were forced to make a major change that you did not choose? How did you handle that? Would you like to share the story with us?
Sure. Man, copy master, zero Toastmaster. And our guests just disappear. It's not a problem. So that's really interesting question. The moment that we decided to get married, that's one of the biggest forces that I didn't. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, mess up the language here. Well, there's too many things. That's why we call individual. That's why we call personality. That's why we call everything. Everything that you like, you don't like or feel uncomfortable like me, I would think I would refuse to change. However, I'm a little bit different. I'm a yes sir man. I don't really care whatever you tell me or who tell me. I would say I'll do it. 10,000 tasks or a couple of tasks a day. I manage to digest things like that. I got 2 hands, 2 feet. I got a couple hours. I can only do this much. So to me, if it doesn't involve with physical dangers or anything, non-financially, to me, nothing is really big deal. Like a Toastmaster, people say, oh, impromptu speech, I can't do it. Well, you know what? Why you can't do it? Why I couldn't do it? Because I was afraid of nonsense. Because you're not gonna bite me. I'm not gonna bite you. If you say something about my speech, what I really get is just a feeling. That's how I deal with, or how I take care of the feeling, especially from my wife, from my boss, from authority. Even I'm gonna extend a little bit here. As I shared the story before, I got a ticket finally, just last week. It's called fixed ticket. And I decided to put my car in the grave of San Jose, but not Shanghai. And I had to pay for it. So Meredith, topic master, back to you.
Thank you, Jeff. I'm so sorry you had to put your car in the grave. I hope you did it in the way that the state of California paid you $1,000 to do it. And I'm glad you shared with us that you are a yes, sir man. I would never have guessed. I would have said you are a yes, but why man, wanting to know why before you did anything. Betty, are you there?
Yes.
Hi, Betty.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Would you share with us a time when you were in your personal life making a change that had a really significant positive impact on you or your family or the city around you? A change you had to make in a big change that you made in your life with positive outcome.
Thank you, Tabletop Masters. Okay, so my personal life changed. I need to change for my positive speaking. This is a very hard transition for me because I always like to talk bad when I feel not good and my mouth just come out, I don't think. So I just jump. So I need to make it calm before when I'm angry. So for those years, my husband told me I need to not speak the bad word. Sometimes I feel he's so laid back, I cannot stand it, so I will say something bad. So I know it's not good. Even I go to church temple, they teach you not to do that, but you still do that. So now I need to have a big change right now. I want to think positive, positive, and positive. Because in this way, I have a family with harmony. Then no arguing. I know it's hard to do that, but I will try to do it. When you see the world very bad, just like a lot, I saw the news like for the movie star from China. If you are famous and then somebody jealous, they might make you disappear. This is very terrible. I fear people is kind of scary sometimes in this world, but if you think this way, you are very negative. So we need to think positive. We cannot make the world hit us. We need to be positive. If everybody be positive, then the world will become more bright. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Betty, for challenging us to put a positive spin on even things that are difficult. Perhaps another way to say it is to focus on our glass being at least half full and ways to describe it being that way, and try to fill it to the top as we go on. Do we have time for one more question, Madam Toastmaster?
Yes, we should have time for one more.
Okay. Joanne, think back to a moment when you had to do something that really scared you, that forced you out of your comfort zone. Think about that moment and think about whether that situation taught you about growth or helped to transform your growth in life.
Thank you for that question, Madam Table Topics Master. I would say a moment in life that scared me and ended up being positive was moving countries to go to college. I'm not originally from the US, I'm from Nigeria. And when I was 17 or 16, I can't remember, but it was time for me to go to college. And my dad really wanted me to come to the United States because there were more opportunities here. And for me, it was an exciting time, but I was also a little bit scared because I was moving away from my parents. I was moving away from my entire family. I was moving alone to a different country. But I would say on the whole, it's been a very positive experience because although I came here and experienced a lot of culture shock, there was also shock in the climate because I moved from Nigeria to Chicago, which is very cold. There were a lot of shocks, but on the whole, it was positive because I was able to complete my first degree, my bachelor's, and I was also able to get good jobs that I wouldn't have been able to get if I had been in Nigeria. And also in Nigeria, the process of going to school can be very tough because sometimes the professors would go on strike and the students would be out of school for a long time. So I potentially also completed my bachelor's in a shorter time frame than I would have if I had stayed home. So that's one instance in my life where there has been a change that I made that I was scared of, but it turned out to be positive. Thank you. Over to you, Madam Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Joanne, for sharing that with us. I personally can't imagine taking such a change and moving halfway around the world to new politics and language and climate and money and lifestyle by myself. I didn't do that kind of thing until I was an adult. And even then, I was very careful about how much I would take on. Such stories of bravery we've heard today in terms of confronting new countries, new cultures, new changes. It's been a meeting filled with embracing change and transformation. Thank you very much. I return the floor to our Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, Mary. For the next portion of the meeting, we're going to have evaluations, and I will hand over to our general evaluator of the day, Jeff, whose car is in a graveyard, so he's standing today and not in his car. Over to you, Jeff.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster. Actually, my technician just called me and then trying to give me the quote. And what I mean is, if more than 1,500, I'm gonna just give away. Just gonna donate, right? $1,000. So I haven't really, get back the call yet. But thank you very much again. So let's welcome our first evaluator, I believe is Vincent for Benson. Let's welcome
Yes.
Vincent.
Thank you so much, Jeff. And fellow Toastmasters, especially you, Benson, thank you for sharing this story about a cemetery in Shanghai. Originally, I thought it was going to be a spooky story because recently we had Jeff's story about his island of the cemetery. I was like, oh, maybe Benson's going to follow up with a spooky story. But I like that the spin was like an honest take about what it's like preparing for the future and how things that we expect are constant, even death, might not always be constant, especially if like the funeral home or the cemetery, there's politics there or there's business changes there, how things can change. So I appreciated you being able to kind of explore this side of it, which is something that I don't think I've heard in many speeches. So today I'll be highlighting a few things. I'm going to start with the format of good, better, and best. So I'm going to highlight 2 points that I thought you did really well at, one opportunity to make the speech even better, and one thing that I thought you did really well. So first off, I liked how you started right away with the story. Something that you mentioned was a quick quote. You said that the only thing that's constant or the only thing that we expect is change itself. And I thought that was very powerful. Afterwards, you just jumped right in, saying, when I was 14, my grandfather passed away. And you dived right into the meat of the story. So that's something I really appreciate whenever I hear a story, and I'm sure the audience can feel the same way. Whenever we hear stories initially at the start, just grabs our attention. So I thought that was excellently done. The second thing that I really liked was that you had some light humor in a very serious topic where you mentioned like, I'm just hoping that my investments where you're burning money or you're burning these houses, it's like I'm investing in my future here. And I thought that was just like a funny, ironic thing that you were able to add later on throughout your speech. So I thought that was cleverly done and added a bit of levity in an otherwise darker topic. So thank you for sharing that. The thing that I think could enhance the speech even better, you mentioned the Qingming Festival, and I know some of us are familiar with it, but I don't think everyone in the room is familiar with what the aspects of the festival are. You mentioned later on, partway through, where it was a festival where you're able to honor ancestors, clean, and burn money. But I think that adding that highlight or adding that footnote in the very beginning, like just describing what we do for Qingming, the expectations, and so on, just describing a bit of the festival, can add to the significance of it as you're kind of exploring the graveyards as you're with your dad during that scene. So I think that that's just a small thing that can enhance the speech even further. But overall, I really appreciated how you were able to add storytelling elements to this. One in particular was that I liked how you described your internal thoughts. Like you were talking about how maybe Shanghai was like everything was so crowded in Shanghai. Like you added your personal opinions, like, oh, wait, maybe everything's so crowded, which is why the urns are like this. So that felt like more personal to me. And I like that these personal thoughts and feelings you constantly weave throughout, whether it was the curiosity of why graveyards were the way they were, or the disappointment or the upset when you realize that like how come the urn, like I'm not able to place it where I was expecting to. So I loved how you were able to weave that emotion and your personality into your speech. I thought that was the best thing about it. So overall, a unique speech that explored a serious topic, and I really loved how you're able to execute it with your stories. Thank you, Benson.
Thank you very much, Vincent. Let's welcome Mary for sixth speech. Mary, what is yours?
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, and especially Sib. Thank you for embracing an opportunity to do an ad hoc speech about the theme of the day and presenting it in a way that was very well constructed. It followed the story arch. You set it up for us by telling us a little bit about where you were in your life at age 19, that you shared with us that you'd gone from the country to the city and that you were struggling. You were looking to make a dramatic breakout change, a big transition in your life. And yet there were hurdles. There were financial hurdles. There were hurdles with your personal mental health. All of these impediments to getting you there. And yet you persevered. So the structure was very, very strong with a strong resolution. Within that, I loved the way you used contrast. You showed us the contrast between being in the countryside of France as a child and being in Paris in the big city at that point in time. I can imagine someone being in a big city and feeling even more depressed than if they were at home in the countryside and embraced by family. And you described it so succinctly. I think each of us were able to connect with it when you talked about wallowing in depression. It was a wonderful use of vocabulary in a story filled with contrast. Then you took us from France to a journey to South Africa, and you changed it from a story of depression to going to a place where the culture was hopeful at that time in its history, and incorporating your needs and helping to fill some hope into your life. It was another good example of compare and contrast throughout the story. You also had some surprises for us. You talked about going with a boyfriend, but experiencing a culture. You talked about the fact that although the relationship with your boyfriend fell apart, you had the unexpected experience of embracing a new family that you had selected. Not just the family you were born into, but now you had the family that you picked. And the little quip about sharing with your sister the unexpected death of your boyfriend or your past boyfriend. Again, another little surprise element in the story. Beautiful visual vocabulary, wonderful word choice and language, and a wonderful structure. I would like to see you do more of these impromptu speeches to continue to strengthen your storytelling muscle and being able to tell a story through the storytelling arc on the spot. It is a wonderful talent to have and one I aspire to. Thank you, Sib. Mr. GE.
Thank you very much. That was wonderful evaluation. And I would encourage you, Mary, come to the meeting all the time. That's excellent. Let's welcome. Yes. Let's welcome Joanne for the Marian.
Thank you, Jeff. I think everyone did a great job today as far as avoiding ums and so's. I do have a couple of points to address, or a couple of points I noticed. So Benson, during your speech, I didn't notice any ums or uhs or so's that were not necessary. I noticed one issue with, I think it was agreement. So you mentioned all the other spots, but it should be all the other spots, plural. So that was the only thing I noticed. Sib, I did not notice anything. Betty, I noticed the use of one so. And Vincent, I did not notice anything. For Jeff, during your table topic speech, I did not notice anything either. Over to you, Mr. G.
Thank you very much, Joanne. So if we look at this time, it's 12:47. So that's my first observation as a GE. I'm gonna start giving the feedback of my observation. I think we can have the topic master until probably 12:43. So you can extend the opportunity for everyone. You look at now, it's 12:47. So, for past several meetings, I observed that we close the table topic too early. So we have a whole bunch of time. Sometimes we got 8 minutes, like today we got 13 minutes. So that's for our next Toastmaster to manage. The second feedback is this scene and the word of the day was so related. I believe everybody enjoy and then put their input surrounding the scene and the word of the day, including myself, especially when Benson mentioned about the graveyard and the on and the off. It happened to me exactly the same. Exactly the same. Okay. Except my grandpa has a graveyard that was huge. It costs probably several $1 million a day now. And it all go to ash. Yeah, the city just removed that, whatever the reason. And for the SIP, the story, it's really related to me and including Joanne. I came to United States 30 plus years ago. And it was huge, huge change. But I bet, since we talk about the change, I bet the most difficult things for anyone, including you and me, to embrace is a hunger. Remember that hunger, fasting, don't eat, bring yourself back to 18 years old. That's the first thing. The second thing is, Betty just mentioned and shared, can't stop talking or talking back. That was me before. Everything I have to win. I win the talking all the time. And after Toastmaster, what I learned is when not to talk. Most of the time, we don't talk in the meeting. For 60 minutes of the meeting, you probably talk 5 minutes, 3 minutes, 7 minutes at most. So that's what I learned. The third thing is, if you see my hair, I had it today because I screwed up yesterday. And that's the third thing people would not tolerate for the bad haircut. And I did it myself. No complaint. But remember, let's take a photo together. If I hand over the floor to
Oh,
manage, back to you.
okay, okay. I take the picture first. Okay. Want to join? Betty, want to join? Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Cheese. Okay, picture's done.
Thank you, Benson. We can talk about roles for next week. So probably the major roles. Who is interested in being the Toastmaster for next week?
Jeff.
Jeff.
Jeff?
Yeah.
Okay.
And any speakers? Anyone interested in speaking?
I'd like to give a speech for speaker one.
Awesome, thank you. Anyone interested in the second speaker?
I can do a project related setup speech next week.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. And the evaluators, is anyone interested in being an evaluator for next week?
Or you can swing me into an evaluator role if you need to, Joanne, whatever's needed.
All right, no worries. I think maybe when it's closer to the time, we will try to fill those or do round robin. I would fill it, but I'm not sure if I'm going to be here next week.
Yeah, Joanne, if you could post it in WhatsApp afterward, or after me, you just post the roles and like
Yeah,
TBD anything that's still needed.
awesome. I'll do that. Thank you. And is anyone interested in table topics by any chance?
Yeah, I kind of interested in doing a table topic.
Awesome. Thank you, Benson. Also, I noticed the agenda on the website is not populating. So I don't know who, well, I noticed I couldn't do it, so someone must be responsible for it.
Yeah, I'll go take a look into it. I'll populate it for the rest of December, and then actually I'll just populate. Yeah, I'll populate it till March. Let me do
All
that.
right, thank you. Thank you, Vincent.
Can Vincent open to everyone, please?
Yeah, let me see if I can do that. I think it's mostly just officers to help create initial agenda. After that, any Toastmaster can sign up and control it afterward.
Or just please make sure everyone can update.
Yeah.
Great, I'll follow up with the roles on WhatsApp.
Cool.
All right, is there anything else?
I have several more table topic questions. So how about if I pop back in and toss out a few more table topic questions so we can practice speaking a bit more?
Hey, I'm not opposed to that.
Sounds fun.
Okay. Vincent, there's a quote: change is inevitable, but progress is optional. Change is inevitable, but progress is optional.
Oh.
Do you agree with that? And if so, can you share a story that supports or refutes it?
Change is inevitable, progress is optional. Okay, I think I have one, and it's related to recycling, I suppose. So there are times when I get confused about knowing when should I recycle something. Like I see Amazon boxes and plastic puffs as well. I'm like, can I recycle plastic puffs? Because it's plastic. And I know that a lot of the times recycling is improving and it's changing and it's getting better. Just recently, I noticed that at least within the Milpitas, Santa Clara County area, there they mentioned that you can now recycle plastic bags by placing a lot of smaller plastic bags within it. Normally, you couldn't recycle plastic bags at all. So I realize that change and improvements are coming, but it's optional whether people actually perform it or do it as diligently as we should. So something that I think about often is whether I'm doing my own due diligence, trying to keep track of changes in terms of recycling and or in terms of helping the environment that I should be doing versus like letting it kind of come by in waves, like whether it's new innovations. It doesn't have to be necessarily with the environment, but either new technology or things that can enhance my life for the better, that I just think about like, oh, it's too much of a hassle to learn, it's too much of a hassle to figure out. I'm just going to do it the way I've been doing it the whole time. So that's a challenge that I'm currently facing, and I'm hoping I can do better with small changes each and every week. So that's my personal goal, is just one small change or one small tweak, either to environmental changes or learning new technology. Thank you, Mary.
Thank you, Vincent. I just returned from Japan, and one of the things that I noticed there is the country is very focused on environmental consciousness and recycling, to the point that a household will have 7 different ways of recycling, and they put pressure on their neighbors around them to be compliant. So if you have not correctly sorted your recycling, you'll get pressure from the neighborhood. It also carried into the airports, where there were often 3 containers in the airport so that you could subdivide your waste in the airport. It was very interesting and a good contrast to what I see day to day. Benson, there's
Oh,
another quote that I found relevant to today. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. Do you agree with that sentiment about change not coming? Why or why not?
thank you, Table Topics Master. That's a very interesting topic. I would keep thinking about how to change others, but I have never think about how to change a dog because I didn't have any experience with dogs. So with person, my conclusion that stop thinking about change any person. Just just forget it. Because if you are so eager to change other person, it just reduce your lifetime. That's my work experience. So in my life experience, I do not change people. I never think about change people's thoughts where because I think people grow based on their own experience. They have their own feelings, understanding of this world. And I don't think other people can easily change me either. So the only thing I can do is I speak up my opinions. Hopefully, I can influence people's mindset. I share the real experience. I share the data, share the facts, give them my very own opinions on certain things. So hopefully, the world can get a little bit better, slightly, small changes. That's my hope. Back to Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Benson, for sharing that and for letting us know that you accept us for who we are and you meet us for where we're at and you embrace us and support us if we choose to make changes. Sib, I'd like to hear your thoughts on this quote. Some of us think holding on makes us strong, but sometimes it is letting go that makes us strong. What are your thoughts on that? Some of us think holding on makes us strong, but sometimes it is letting go.
I did not know this quote, but it's a really interesting one. And I've wondered about that for myself often. I think in my case, what I struggle with is knowing when it is wise to let go or to hang on. But I mean, I can definitely think of a time in my life where I hang on for too long. I stayed with an advisor way longer than I should have when things were not coming along. So I definitely agree that sometimes, yes, it's easier to hang on than to let it go. But there are always pros and cons. And basically, it's whether it is hard or difficult, both are hard. Which one is right to do at a time in a given situation is a tricky thing to answer. It requires wisdom, in my opinion.
Thank you, Sib. I'll leave you with one final question to take away for this week as we wrap up embracing change and transition. Think about which is worse, failing or never trying something new. On that note, I return the meeting to our table topic, our Toastmaster of the day, Joanne.
Thank you so much, Mary. Thank you for taking on this role as with such short time in between. So I think we're ready to close out, except we have any other club business to attend to? No?
No, no other business I can think of. I think we'll just need to connect with Daniel for the next officers meeting. But besides that, I think that's it.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for a great meeting. Thank you. Have a nice rest of your day.
All right,
Bye.
thanks everyone.
Bye-bye.
Have a good rest of the day
Take
and week.
care.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
Have a great week. Bye.